Hello, fellow cruisers. This is Shon from Not Your Average Cruise channel, and I'm joined by the beautiful.
Juanita.
She's my
When you
wife,
start
just in
telling me to say
case.
my name,
Just now, if you don't like the intros that we do, you're gonna have to do something different.
you just didn't give me a heads up.
Oh, Not Your Average Cruise channel, not your average channel at all, and we'll be right back with this video's content. All right, fellow cruisers, we're going to talk about why we cruise, and hopefully shed some light on those that are even on the fence. So if you've never taken a cruise, we're going to talk about some things that may interest you to get you going, and take it from someone who was adamant we're not going to take a cruise. As recently as this week was reminded that we even did an RV trip, which I love, by the way. Um, spent like 5 times the money we spent on a cruise to take a week long RV trip, and I'm telling you, once I cruised, I was hooked. This was awesome. And so we're going to talk about while we cruise and talk about some things we got going. That's in, and of course, we can't reveal dates, but just some itineraries. So, why do you cruise?
Well, I have always wanted to cruise. It was, oh goodness, I'd wanted to cruise for 20, 30 years before I ever went on one. And I just had heard that, there's food, there's no cleaning, there's activities, it's like everything you want in a vacation without all the hassle of a car and a hotel and where are we going to eat. I hadn't been, but that just sounded like a good idea to me.
Okay, well, I mean, because that's what people were saying. So, with I'd heard some things. I've heard a few things. So,
Mhm.
um, I know growing up, I'd always heard, in reference to cruises, that's a lot of water.
More than you can drink.
Yeah, and if you all that water you can't drink is gonna be trouble. And I know I didn't want no smoke, so I was like, I don't. That's a whole lot of water,
It's real
and so
ghetto.
I wasn't really looking to cruise because of all that water. I'm in the
Mhm.
middle of the ocean. I don't care how big that ship is, the ocean is bigger. And so, yeah, that was one of the reasons the one of the things I heard
Mhm.
people talk about in terms of the water.
Yeah, and if you once you get on there, you realize first of all, the boats are so big, and there are different sizes of boats. Let me clarify that. There are some that are very very small that can hold like 500-600 people, but then a lot of the cruising we're talking about are larger ships. Your Royal Caribbean, your Disney, your Carnival, your Norwegian, your MSC. So those boats are larger, and for those larger boats, you really, if you're not looking out, it's very easy to forget you're on a boat just because
Yeah,
it's so large. The interior can look like a high class hotel. So you really can forget you're on a boat. That's the first thing. Um, but I think also if you get seasick, it doesn't matter. So I have never been one that has had seasick. I've been on deep sea fishing trips where the water was choppy, and I thought this is great, this is wonderful. And other people are, in the fetal position throwing up. So it's not an issue for me. But if you're thinking too much water, I'm going to be seasick. My tip is take seasick medicine or whatever it's called. Take that, but don't take it when you get on the boat. I think that's the problem. A
yeah,
lot of people do. They wait until they're getting on the boat. They wait until they're on the boat. They wait until the morning they get on the boat to take it. From what I've been told, that is too late. You need to take it 2 or 3 days before. If you have a patch, put that patch on 2 or 3 days before. If you have something where you're taking every however many hours, start taking that 2 or 3 days before the cruise.
yeah. So I like the larger ships, but because you don't feel a lot of that motion, a lot of that rocking, it's not going to roll. At least when it's rolling, you won't feel it because all the stabilizers and things, the new
Mm-hmm.
technology that's on those larger ships.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I'm one that had motion sickness. My son that's in college still laughs to this day. We took a vacation. I can't understand why we left the beautiful Juanita at home. It could be because she brings travel, Nita, but it was just me and him taking the deep sea fishing trip, and that was a boat. Like I always tell you, there's a difference between a ship and a boat. That was a boat, and you felt every single
Mm-hmm.
wave. And if it was 8 feet, it seems like that boat went up 8 feet and came down. So let's just say about 45 minutes in, everything I had for breakfast was a part of the ocean. And he can't stop laughing because he's sitting there eating hot Cheetos, moon pies, oatmeal pies, just throwing them back with no problem at all. But I knew then motion sickness was one of the things that I had to deal with, and so you're going to see a picture in this film of motion sickness medicine. I either take the pills or I put the patch on. But now, even if I forget, because the ships are so large,
Mm-hmm.
you really don't even feel it, even in a storm. Now, there are some storms where
Oh.
that are pretty rough and they'll redirect, but um, you don't feel it, and so it's really peaceful. I would say, yes, it's a lot of water. There are a lot of
Mm-hmm.
safety procedures. Those lifeboats attached to the ship, they hold like 200. Most of them are 200, 250. I saw one. I know the ones on Utopia were either 250 or 350 per
Mm-hmm.
boat, and I'm like, okay, that's a lot of people that you can cram into a space. So I would just tell you, don't let the water be a deterrent because
Mm-hmm.
they're so large you wouldn't even see it. One of my favorite spots on Royal Caribbean ships is to go into Central Park, and I could stay there
Mm-hmm.
all day. And trust me, it looks you do not know that you're on a ship at that moment because you don't see any water.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful park.
And I also think something also to remember if you're someone who is, has a fear. Our youngest son, the very first time we asked him, "Hey, would you like to cruise?" His response to us with a serious face was, "Have you seen Titanic?" So I think for if that's a
And you have
concern,
to you have to know him.
you have to know him.
Like he's 17, but I'm pretty sure he's 75.
Yes.
But
But I think ships are really safe. They have very well thought out emergency plans. They have the training that you do. So never say never. But ships are so much safer than they used to be.
yeah,
So I
yeah,
think if that's a concern you have, and do your research. I mean, you can go to a lot of websites and look and see what do ships have in place for real emergencies. So don't let that be the thing that stops you.
right, right. And so that's one of the major motivating factors that gets us off the sofa. But even beyond that, I would say number two, we cruise because it is not boring.
Yeah, you'll
There,
hear
there
that. You'll hear people say, "I don't want to just sit on a ship all day," but that's so not what it is.
No, there. I mean, from trivia to board game rooms. If you're in Holland, America, they have sewing rooms,
Puzzle rooms.
puzzle
So
rooms.
yeah.
So there's something for everyone. There's comedy shows.
Mhm.
There's Broadway level theater shows going on
Mhm.
as well that you wouldn't want to miss. There's a lot of different activities for
Yeah.
you if you just step out there. And most of them all come with water parks now, places for kids to play, some
But
adult areas, some putt putt as well. So you're not going to be bored.
yeah. And one thing I think, like even with the two of us, one of us is a little more introverted than the other. One of us is a little more extroverted than the other, and it's probably not who you're thinking,
Right.
but
It's the
but
exact opposite of the video.
yeah.
I'll do this, but I
Yeah.
really want to sit in Central Park.
Yeah, and not talk to people. But I think if you are, depending on what you are, if you're the person that wants to be the entertainment, you you can do that. You can be in Family Feud. Some ships have Family Feud, some have Love and Marriage, some have different kinds of games.
Our Royal calls it something else because I won and you lost, but
Oh
you
yeah,
what was
family
it? Friendly
something.
something?
Friendly family something.
They didn't use Family Feud because it's
Yeah.
trademark, of course. But I
But
don't know
they
why we
have
can't remember what it is
but
now.
they have different activities. If you are one of those that's really outgoing and you want to be the entertainment, you want to be on stage, they have all kinds of activities for that. If you're someone that wants more passive entertainment, you want to sit in the audience, you want to do trivia, you want to um they have, what was that one cruise we were on, they had where they played like 2 3 seconds of a song and the audience had to try to guess it.
Right.
So That way you're not on stage, but you can be in the audience. And I think if you're even more introverted and you don't want any of that, you can always find groups of people sitting at tables playing board games, playing cards, because you're kind of away from the hustle and bustle. And some people say, I can do that at home. Well, I do feel it's easier to disconnect on a boat. It's
It
easier
is
to
when
disconnect, pull, unplug. Even with the packages, I still think it's easier to do that.
yeah, I think for us, for our family, it serves a lot of different needs. Our college son is home right now because college is taking semester break. So when he goes cruising with us, I mean he doesn't meet a stranger, right?
We
So
don't see him. We
no,
we see him
we
at
give him
8
his
and maybe
card. That's what he wants. He
yeah.
needs his cruise card, and then after
Mhm.
that,
Yeah, we tried to tell him check in the morning and just check in sometime before you go to bed. But and our son that's not quite as outgoing, he felt the same way. He could sit out. They have movies on the deck. He would watch that. He would just sometimes and sit and watch the water.
play
So
trivia.
yeah, play trivia,
Sometimes
and
he
that
sit in the balcony and he just
yeah,
wanted to look at the water,
I mean, there are activities,
in
and
peace.
then not only those, but there are those other activities. They have excursions, they have spa. If you're someone that works out and is willing to work out on your vacation, you can do the gym. You can, I mean, there's so many things.
Yeah,
You will not be bored.
and I know you're thinking, "There's no way you're going to the gym." Yeah,
Mm.
we go to the gym.
I don't know. I
Our
don't know that I
introverted
would say
son.
we. I don't know. I would
Well,
say we.
my introverted son, our introverted son,
Uh-huh.
and I do go to the gym. That's the video that you're seeing right now. We will go to the gym and we will work out, and it's
Mhm.
I don't know, it just gets me going, but not
Yeah.
going in a way that I want to do things all day.
No.
That's not the type going, but it does get your blood flowing pretty
Mm.
good.
And a lot of them
And
have beautiful, beautiful scenery.
yeah,
You're on a
so
treadmill facing the ocean.
yeah, so
Yeah.
it's easy
Yeah.
to get on a treadmill. You're there 45 minutes. You don't even realize it
Hmm.
because it's exercise, but it's relaxing.
Yeah.
So
What's something else that you hear a lot of people say?
well, and this is one that you may hear
Hmm.
me say sometime, or some of my complaints that I make when I'm looking and looking at different cruises. Some people think it's extremely crowded,
Hmm.
and for someone like me, who is introverted and tense up around a whole lot of people. It's hard to believe because I watch this channel, but I don't know. It's I could see where someone would believe it's crowded, and we're gonna talk a bit about ship design, but some people say it's crowded.
Yeah, especially when you hear someone say, "Oh, there were 7,000 people on this ship." To me, that does sound. It feels like you'd just be crammed in there, shoulder to shoulder. But one thing I feel like is, no matter the size of the ship, the only time I can really feel like there are thousands of people here are the day you all get on and the day you all get off, because there are a lot of you all in very few spaces.
Yeah, you feel it.
Yeah.
I'll look through the archive, but I think we have a video, some footage going into. I bet it's Carnival, the Galveston
Hmm.
Port. When we walk in, I mean, there are 50 tables set up with
Yeah.
Carnival staff checking your documents to get you checked in. And just think that goes on for hours. And
Hmm.
there's lines and there's people everywhere. There's people coming and going.
Hmm.
I mean, it's just a lot. It makes it feel crowded, but there are some things you can do too, right?
Hmm.
So I'm going to encourage you. Here's a little tidbit that you definitely want to mark in the video. Even go back and rewind, make sure you get it. If you call guest assistants, you can get some things that you would think are privileged or priced that are not. And they will
Hmm.
work with you. If you tell them, I want to go, but the crowd, there are places they will have you seated and waiting in
Hmm.
different areas where it is not crowded. You do
Hmm.
not feel the influx of people, and it's all a part of guest relations. If you have a your personal fund planner,
Oh. Hmm.
uh, and we do have one. We do have one that we work with. They will set you up and give you an extension to call
Hmm.
for Carnival, and Royal does the same thing where you can call them and they will work with you to make sure. Even Norwegian, Todd at Norwegians has been calling and saying he can set up and match some of the things that we get from the other cruise lines because those things take you out of the crowd. right?
Mhm.
And that way you're not in, and because the only other time you'll feel that crowd after you get on is just seeing everybody there to sail away. That's probably the most
Yeah.
crowded time for the Lido deck. After that, it's never
Yeah.
really a really
Mhm.
crowded feeling. I will tell you one more. If you're feeling crowded, there are adult only areas on the
Mm.
ship,
Yeah.
and those are rarely full, right?
Mhm.
So you hear people talk about Serenity on Carnival, but
Mhm.
there are some places, and I know with Raw, one of the things that we did, we made sure that we went to the adult early only swim area,
Mhm.
the buffet area that for adults only. All that was
Mhm.
extremely nice, quiet, peaceful.
Yeah.
So if it's the crowd, don't let that deter you.
Yeah. One cruise we went on, we actually took my parents, and they are in their 80s, almost 90. And what was nice was being able to call the cruise line, and they said, "Hey, you." And we had a big group. They were in a big group. They let our entire group. I can't promise you everyone will do this, but one particular cruise line did. They let our big group all kind of. He took us back ways, and we cut lines because my parents were older. I mean, they probably really should have had wheelchairs, but they didn't want to do that. And so, so there are those things that you can do. But embarkation day, and I should say, embarkation day is really only crowded for the first few hours.
Mm-hmm.
Once you get on and everyone's checked in and everyone's able to get in their rooms, it's like you're just like, where did everyone go? So it really is hard to believe. We did Jubilee, and I think there were, was it between crew and guests, what was it, almost 8,000 people,
Yeah,
8,500?
yeah, yeah.
You would never have
Never
believed
believe that.
that many people were on that boat. So that's one thing I will say. And with being crowded, I will say this. I don't know if the walls on cruise ships are they are thinner than a hotel, but they are not thick. They're not soundproof. But people sometimes, oh, it's too loud. To me, I didn't think it was any, to me, it's just like a hotel. If you go to a hotel, you may be next to some loud people. So I will say that about chips, but don't let the crowd stop you.
Right, and there are things you can
Hmm.
guest relations. You'll be amazed at how much they work with you. So we definitely you definitely want to do that. But speaking of
Uh-huh.
like being next to maybe some loud people, um, some people have said, "Hey, it's just one big party." I know there's one cruise
Mm,
line. Every time I bring it up, people say, "No, you that is definitely nothing but the booze
mm,
cruise. You don't want to take that cruise." So we hear things about it just being a big party,
mhm.
um, but don't let that deter you.
Yeah. And I'm not I'm probably one, if I went on a cruise and it was that big party atmosphere, people just drunk everywhere. I don't know that I would enjoy it. But I do think what you want to do is look at the different cruises. One thing, we've been on the shorter, like weekend cruises, but we've been on the longer ones. And I do feel, and I've heard this from lots of other people, that the shorter cruises do tend to have more of a party feel. Those are the people sometimes where they're like, look, when I get on the cruise, I'm going straight to the bar. I want my 15 drinks a day. I want to go to the club. I want to, because it's just a nice weekend getaway for some people. So I do feel those are a little bit more
Mhm.
party atmosphere. Um, I think the longer cruises, it's more relaxation. People are really getting on there for a vacation. You tend to see more children. You tend to see more families. So don't let that stop you.
And I will say this: one of the and I know Juanita's gonna laugh at me. Um, you don't let that stop you from cruising because there's cruise lines that cater to certain demographics.
Oh, yeah.
And within that demographic, you have to understand what they are viewing the personality of that person
Hmm.
probably is for that particular demographic. And so, if you're looking for a more family cruise, there are some cruise lines that are more family oriented,
Yeah.
and some that are trying to be more family oriented. So you have those options. And then if you're looking for one that's a little more quiet, there are some cruise lines
Yeah.
that feature that as well. I
Hmm.
mean, every cruise ship doesn't have a sewing room, but if you go to Holland America, you can get the sewing room and the puzzle room
Hmm.
if you understand my drift. And I think I probably would like that. By the way, I don't know. I'm not gonna
You
sew
probably would.
or the
You
puzzle,
probably
but
would.
just the lounge areas to sit, look, and enjoy, and
Hmm.
watch the world go by. Absolutely. And then there are some cruises where they let you know from the moment you walk into the port, this is going to be jumping. And so you can pick a
Hmm.
cruise line based upon your particular how you see the world and what you want to do. But don't let one experience stop you. We're
Yeah.
telling you there's a lot of different experiences out there.
And not only is it the cruise line, it's also the length of the cruise, the port
Yes.
it's from, how much it is, the cruise dates. If you go during the summer, that's kind of the peak time for cruising.
And actually,
Everybody.
that would be our number five thing on
Hmm.
on cruises is to make sure people don't think it's too expensive.
Yeah, yeah. Um, Expense is a big thing. And if you think about it, cruising back in the day, it was very exclusive. It really was. People, it was really for older, retired people who had disposable income. And I remember watching Love Boat, and I was as a girl, as a little kid, thinking, "Wow, I'll never be able to afford that," because the people got on there in furs and minks, and they had a lot of money. But actually, I remember watching a documentary on Love Boat, and they said that when that show came out, people really got into cruising and they realized there's a market of people who want to cruise who can't afford to go on an 18-day cruise, who are not all retired. They want to take their families, they want to take their small children. So cruise lines, and you hear a lot about Carnival kind of opening up that market, and a lot of other cruise lines have, where they made it more accessible for everyday people. They made it, every cruise is not going to Spain. You can go to Mexico, you can go out of Galveston, so it just became a lot more accessible.
Yeah, and I would tell you there are some tricks to it, and so
Mm.
this is probably the bonus to five, probably five B. It's about the timing. Okay,
Yeah.
so we'll say five B timing.
Mhm.
If you're going through the winter but avoid the holidays, cruises are really inexpensive, really
Mm.
inexpensive. For give you an example, if you're taking a cruise out of Galveston on the Jubilee in January, February, you're probably paying only about $500 for that balcony cabin. If you do that same thing, you try and do that in May, June, July,
Mm.
August, you're going to pay well over $1,000 per person for that same cruise, and you're going to have
Yeah.
some really big offers and specials from the casino to bring those prices down for you during the summer because of the timing. The timing means a
Mhm.
lot. 5C, I would say, is the port.
Mm.
Look at different ports. Like invest not even 2 hours. Just give yourself an hour, right?
Mm.
Look at the exact same time frame, the exact same length of a cruise, and look at all of the ports and find the ports that have similar time itineraries on the ship that you have a preference for and look at how much they cost. And you'll see even the different
Mm.
ports have different prices.
Yeah.
That's also impacting your cruise. So it may be
Mhm.
cheaper for you or less expensive to take a week long cruise, but you fly halfway across the country because the
Mhm.
airfare plus the cruise fare is cheaper than you being able to drive 2, 3 hours to your local port
Yeah.
and have the same cruise experience. So I would tell you not
Mhm.
just timing, but also the port.
Yeah, and you also there's so many websites you can join, and sites you can join where they will send you early deals, last minute deals, all kind of specials and clearances. So a lot of that can be a big deal. And one thing I love doing is when you search, go low to, sort it low to high, or put a limit on there. And like you said, don't just stick to your port. Galveston is much closer for us, but it is rarely the cheapest port for
Yeah.
us. We have found some cruises out of LA where if we can get there, there's a 4 or 5 day cruise for
Right.
$145 a person. Um,
And
on
Miami. in
Yeah,
Miami.
in Miami. So look at those ports and do the math on it. One thing I would say, um, if you think cruising may be expensive or too expensive for you, I think do your research, but budget carefully. Budget carefully. I think some people think, oh, this cruise is $145. We're gonna get on and get off and 100 and we're done. There's there's port fees, there's tipping, if you want an excursion, if you want the add-ons, if you want the soda package or the alcohol package or the spa package or the restaurant, budget carefully. And some people say, oh, well, that's a lot of nickel and diming. You can go on a cruise and spend nothing extra but your tip and port fees and tax. You can. I
Yeah,
don't I
yeah,
don't
that's
think that's
possible,
hard at all.
and have a good time.
Yeah, and have a good time. It is, it's very possible. So I don't let price stop you because it can be affordable. And one thing I believe, and I think this kind of, I tried to convince him before he was, wholeheartedly into cruising.
Now I'm dragging her along.
Yeah, is that any other vacation you go on, and not to say that other vacations aren't good, but you have to factor in where are we going to stay, what car are we renting a car, are we driving our car, once we stay somewhere, what are we going to do once we get there? If you have children, okay, do this child likes bowling, this one wants to skate, this one wants to swim, this one wants to go to the movies, what are we going to eat every time you turn around? This child wants Chinese food, this one wants McDonald's. That's, I think, the biggest thing. And you don't realize how much money those little things cost or big
Right.
things
And
cost.
time you invest getting to those individual locations.
Hmm.
But there's one option that has it all in one place,
Hmm.
and that's the cruise.
Yeah. So, I mean, this video I think is really good for people who are like, what do y'all like about cruising? Why would I cruise? These are the reasons I don't want to cruise. And let's be fair, you may watch this video and still not be interested. You may even go on a cruise and still not be interested. And that's okay. But do your research and just keep an open mind.
And my last point on it is this. I read something once that helped put a lot of things in perspective. And folks will say you get a lot of perspective the older you get. But I will say this. I remember reading that you're going to die once, but you get to live every day. Having an opportunity to try something new, to go on a cruise or even go on more cruises, is just living every day. So that's why we do it. I would say this: life is short.
So cruise more.